In the summer of 418 BC, the plains of Mantinea in the Peloponnesus became the stage for one of the largest hoplite battles of the classical Greek world. It was a moment when alliances shifted, reputations were tested, and the fate of Sparta itself hung in the balance. The battle would not only decide the course of the Peloponnesian War at that moment, but also serve as a demonstration of Spartan discipline and resilience. To understand the significance of Mantinea, we must first revisit the fractured world of Greece in the 5th century BC. For decades, Athens and Sparta had been rivals. Athens, a naval power with wealth, democracy, and influence across the Aegean, and Sparta, a militarized oligarchy that prided itself on discipline, order, and the strength of its hoplite army. The Peloponnesian War, which had broken out in 431 BC, was a struggle not just for dominance, but for the very future of Greece. The war was long, brutal, and unpredictable. For years, the Spartans invaded Attica, the territory of Athens, while the Athenians harassed Peloponnesian coasts with their navy. Yet peace was elusive. The so-called Peace of Nicias, agreed in 421 BC, was supposed to last 50 years, but in reality, it was little more than a truce filled with suspicion, betrayals, and shifting alliances. Among the key figures of this uneasy peace was Alcibiades, the brilliant but ambitious Athenian statesman. Charismatic, cunning, and reckless, Alcibiades played a dangerous game of politics, forging new alliances to undermine Sparta's position. It was his diplomacy that brought together Athens, Argos, Mantinea, and Elis into a coalition designed to check Spartan power in the Peloponnesus. This alliance was a direct threat to Sparta, for it encircled them in their own backyard. Sparta, meanwhile, had been weakened by recent setbacks. Their prestige had suffered after defeats and humiliations, and some of their allies questioned whether the Spartans still possessed the strength that had once made them the leading power of Greece. For Sparta, the coalition formed by Athens and her allies was not just a political challenge, it was a direct threat to their survival. The Spartans rallied. King Agis II, though criticized for indecision in earlier campaigns, now had the chance to redeem himself. The ephors in the Spartan assembly demanded that he confront the growing alliance before it grew stronger. Agis called upon the full weight of Sparta's military machine and marched north into the territory of Mantinea. The armies that gathered for the coming clash were immense by Greek standards. Sparta brought forth not only her own citizens, but also thousands of allies from Tegea, Megalopolis, and other loyal Peloponnesian cities. In total, the Spartan coalition may have fielded around 9,000 to 10,000 hoplites, along with light infantry and cavalry. For Sparta, this was one of the largest forces it had ever assembled in the classical period. On the other side, the Athenian-led alliance brought together the men of Argos, Mantinea, and Elis, bolstered by a contingent of Athenian hoplites and cavalry. Their numbers were similar, perhaps slightly smaller, but they had the advantage of confidence and enthusiasm. The Argives in particular had a reputation for bravery, and the Athenians believed that their presence on the battlefield would tilt the balance. As the two coalitions maneuvered for advantage, the fate of the Peloponnesus hung in the balance. The Argives and their allies hoped to curb Sparta's influence once and for all, to demonstrate that the vaunted Spartan phalanx was not invincible. The Spartans, meanwhile, saw Mantinea as a chance to restore their tarnished honor and remind all of Greece that no power could match the discipline of Lacedaemon. The battle opened with tense maneuvering. King Agis II initially made a miscalculation, allowing the enemy to gain advantageous ground. Spartan allies grumbled, and some even questioned his leadership. Yet Agis was given a chance to correct his error, and with ruthless determination, he reorganized his lines. This moment of near disaster only heightened the drama of what was to come. When the armies finally met on the plain, it was a sight to behold. Two massive phalanxes of armored hoplites, shield to shield, spear to spear, stretched across the landscape. The ground shook with the march of thousands of bronze-clad warriors. The clash at Mantinea was not a skirmish nor a raid, but a full-scale battle, the largest hoplite engagement of the Peloponnesian War. On the Spartan right wing stood the elite units of Lacedaemon. These men, trained from childhood in the brutal agage, embodied the discipline that had made Sparta legendary. They advanced in silence, shields locked, spears leveled. To their left were allies from Tegea and other loyal states. Opposite them were the Argives, Mantineans, and Athenians, eager to prove themselves in open combat. As the lines crashed together, the sound of bronze on bronze and the cries of men filled the air. Spears shattered, shields splintered, and warriors struggled in the press of battle. On the allied left, the Athenians and Mantineans gained ground, pushing back the Spartan allies. For a moment it seemed as though the coalition might break the Lacedaemonian line. But on the Spartan right, the story was different. The disciplined advance of the Spartan citizens tore through the Argive ranks. Step by step, the Spartans wheeled inward, executing a maneuver with precision that astonished even their allies. The Argive line began to crumble under the pressure. King Agis, rallying his men, corrected earlier mistakes with decisive leadership. The Spartan phalanx pressed forward, cutting into the enemy like a blade. The Argives broke, then fled. Panic spread along the Allied line, and what had seemed like a balanced fight turned into a rout. The Athenians, though fighting bravely, were caught in the collapse of their allies. Their retreat was more orderly, but the momentum of the battle belonged entirely to the Spartans. When the dust settled, the field of Mantinea was littered with the fallen. The coalition had been decisively defeated. The victory was more than tactical. It restored Sparta's reputation, proving to friend and foe alike that the Lacedaemonian phalanx remained unmatched. The discipline of the Spartans, their training, and their unyielding spirit had carried the day. For King Agis II, the triumph at Mantinea silenced his critics and secured his place in Spartan history. For Athens and her allies, the defeat was bitter. The grand coalition that Alcibiades had forged lay shattered. Argos and Mantinea, humiliated, drifted back into Sparta's orbit. Athens, though still powerful at sea, had failed to challenge Sparta on her own ground. The wider war would continue, with twists and reversals yet to come. But the Battle of Mantinea marked a crucial moment in the Peloponnesian struggle. It reaffirmed Sparta's dominance on land, ensured her survival as a leading power, and reminded Greece that discipline and unity could overcome even the boldest alliances. In the centuries that followed, historians like Thucydides and Xenophon would recall Mantinea as one of the great battles of the classical world. It was not only the clash of armies, but also the clash of ideals. Democracy and oligarchy, ambition and tradition, daring and discipline. The legacy of Mantinea endures as a testament to the power of training, leadership, and cohesion in the face of adversity. On that summer day in 418 BC, the Spartans proved once again why they were feared and respected throughout Greece. And so, the plains of Mantinea became forever etched in history. The story of that battle remains a reminder that in the struggle for survival and dominance, courage and discipline can shape the destiny of nations. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more epic history documentaries.